Hi, I'm Lori and I love books. And today's tea is from Junior World of Teas. It's F. Scott Fitzgerald. It's a kind of cute name. And it's lemongrass, stevia leaves, ginger, lemon pieces, apple pieces, cinnamon, hibiscus petals, cardamom, clove, and natural flavors. Sounds like a lot of flavors in one tea. It came out this pretty golden yellow. I'm tasting the lemongrass and I'm tasting the ginger. I'm not really tasting any of the other flavors, but it's a very nice light tea. Not very sweet at all either. I thought with the stevia leaves it might be very sweet. So today I'm going to go over my recent reads. These are the books I read between January 1st of this year to March 31st of 2022. These first three books are from my Children's Classics Club over on Goodreads that I run, so you're all welcome to join if you want. So the first book we read this year was The Little Prince by Anthony de Saint-Exupéry. Probably not saying that right, but this is a very odd little book about a pilot that crashes in the desert and he meets this prince. The prince needs his help, and it's kind of like how somebody you meet very briefly in your life can have a lasting impact on your life and how you kind of think and see the world. So it was a very interesting little book. The second one I did is an audiobook, and it's a reread for me, but it's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. So this was a audiobook put out by Dreamscape. It was a very nice audiobook. If you've only seen the Judy Garland Wizard of Oz movie, it misses a lot of the action sequences. So there's a lot more in the book than in the movie, which that makes sense. And the biggest difference being that this book ends differently than the movie ends. Also, if you're nervous about the flying monkeys, in the book it explains how they're not bad characters, that they're not the bad guys. They are under the control of the Wicked Witch of the East. So if you're worried about those being scary, this book explains that they're not that scary, that they're just doing what they have to. So I'm going to get a drink real fast. So then the last classic book I read for March was The Adventures of Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi. I have the cover covered because it's kind of might be triggering to some. I don't like this edition. I love the book, but not this edition, so I will probably be unhauling this edition and getting a different one. Each chapter is a unique story that Pinocchio is going through. It is similar to the Disney cartoon classic, but it's also very different. The character of Pinocchio is quite different than the Disney version. In this book, he's pretty much a jerk who gets his dad Geppetto in trouble. So, and I don't think that's the name that might be the name of the character. But yeah, it's very different than the book. I like the Blue Fairy the most. There's a snail at one point that has to go down 4 flights of stairs. So that's one of my favorite parts. Because it's definitely teaching Pinocchio to wait patiently, and Pinocchio is not being very patient in that chapter. So those are the Children's Classics books. These next books are just children's books I've read recently. So the first one I read was Brambleheart, a story about finding treasure and the unexpected magic of friendship by Henry Cole. So basically, this little chipmunk guy, Twig, finds an egg that turns out to be a dragon egg that hatches, and so he has to help take care of the dragon. It felt kind of derivative of Harry Potter, where he's messes up all the time in school, but he's friends with the smartest girl in school. And then there's another child at school that he doesn't get along with, but then they start to get along with. There's a professor that doesn't like him because he's just a screw up. So it felt very, very similar to Harry Potter in that regard. It also was a little confusing about the size because he's a chipmunk. There's a little bunny and then a weasel. And they all fit on a ship they find, which is a ship in a bottle, including the dragon. And it's just like, well, then how big are these characters? Are they like miniature? Like, I kind of was very confused about that. And then I don't think the world was established as much as it could have been. But I like the dragon. And the dragon Char was the best part. So I saw that I could check out the second book on as an ebook. So I read the second part, which was Bayberry Island, an adventure about friendship and the journey home. And so that ends with them getting on a ship to try to find Char's home. This is them finding Char's family. And it's much more of just an adventure book, so I enjoyed this version, or this second part more than the first part. Plus, they didn't really have to explain the world as much. It wasn't as confusing. So I did like this one. I mean, if you can get them for free, I think they're definitely worth a read if you like dragons and little animals. But if you have to pay money, you know, I would probably just get Harry Potter or The Secret of Nim. So then for St. Patrick's Day, I read Irish Fairy Tales. And this was edited by Philip Smith. So there's like, I think 8 different Irish fairy tales. I have read a couple of them in the past, but some of them were new. And it was okay. You know, it was a good read for St. Patrick's Day. I'm not sure I'm going to keep the book, though, long term. Okay, and then this I got for work, and it's A Kissing Hand for Chester Raccoon by Audrey Penn. This is based on the book The Kissing Hand by Audrey Penn, which I love that book. Definitely recommend that book. This book is okay. It's a much shortened version than that book. It's also not quite as, it doesn't like feel as, you know, warm and fuzzy as reading that book does, but this is a good addition to having that book. So I like having both, but I think the hardcover version with the paper pages is much better than the board book. And then to get in the mood for spring, I read Big Bird Brings Spring to Sesame Street. Excuse me. So Big Bird is missing spring. It's still kind of winter and dreary, so he decides to buy a beautiful bouquet of flowers to cheer himself up. And on his way back home to his nest, he meets his friends along the way, and he gives each of them a flower. So it's a very cute, sweet little book. And that's one of those golden little books. I then read 2 graphic novels. I'm still relatively new to reading graphic novels, so I do enjoy them, but I've only read a few so far. And this is Aster and the Mixed Up Magic by Tom Pico and Karen Sack. I've done this a couple times. This is the second book I was supposed, so I read the second book first, and I don't have the first book, but I might try to get it. So, and it's on the back, so it's like I could have just looked and seen that this was the second one. But it was a very interesting book. I really enjoyed it. Aster has to help keep this goat guy from being creating havoc in her town, and she has to help reestablish the balance. There's like 2 different stories. So like the first one's about the goat, and then the second story she meets this little friend, and so it's very interesting. A lot of magic in it. I definitely do recommend it. I don't think I gave a very good explanation of it, though. And then this one is City of Secrets by Victoria Ying, and I loved this one. So there's an orphan boy and a young girl, and they have to save their town, and they have to solve a mystery to do it, and so they're finding different pieces. It's very steampunk-esque. The illustrations and the writing go so well together that you just feel like you're immersed in this world. So if you love steampunk, if you love mysteries, if you're wanting a fun adventure, this is it. And I've already ordered the second one, so I'm going to be getting the second one soon. So, let me see. Okay. So then these are the books I've read that are spiritual in nature. So I did have the real copy, like a hardcover copy of this book, but then I loaned it to a friend. The friend loved it, so it's now the friend's book. So Soul Magic, Ancient Wisdom for Modern Mystics by Arizona Bell and Morgan Garza. Sorry, it was covered up a little. So this is a good introduction to different spiritual items like crystals, yoga. It does have psychics in it, which I want to believe that psychic powers exist, but most of the examples I've seen in life make me think it's just a scam. But so it's a really great introduction. The numerology stuff I loved. The only part I didn't really like was that it talks about having technology and not using technology in the bedroom at all, and it was quite aggressive about that. And I kind of need my phone to be the one that wakes me up, because I've tried alarm clocks and I have a heart condition, and the alarm clocks have literally caused me to be so scared that it stopped my heart. So having a phone that doesn't scare me so badly works a lot better. So I did get a little upset about that part, because it's like, well, the rest of the book is like, you know, just do what you want, do what feels right for you, everyone's unique. But then that part, it's like, nope, no technology. It's just like, you don't have to be so rude. I mean, there are exceptions to every rule. So then, I read Happy Today by Max Lucado. And so this is a book you're supposed to read like every week. You read one little part, and it has like a written part and then a part where you can journal. I was really enjoying it, and so I just kind of did it as I felt like doing it instead of waiting. And it has some good ideas in there about being more forgiving and accepting other people and their differences. These two books I had gotten used, and I did not like either one of them. Zen Paths to Change and Zen Paths to Harmony. They both were very lacking. One had a bunch of haiku in it, but I didn't really understand any of it. And usually I can at least get a sense of what the haiku is about, but it didn't make any sense. So I will definitely be unhauling those two. It was even though I had bought them used and I had not spent that much money, it still was disappointing. And the last book I have is the Dalai Lama's Little Book of Buddhism by the Dalai Lama. And it is very tiny, but it had a lot of information, and I liked it so much that I read the glossary at the back. So, loved this. So those are the most recent reads I had. What have you read recently? Leave them in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you want to. And until next time, have a lovely time reading. Bye!